Oh, could it actually be working? First attempt. Oh, could it actually be working? It is! Wow. Oh, it's already done loading as well. So... Oh, a quest from Alonso. Was going to... 53... Going to be pretty chill about the intro, but apparently...
Found a new kingdom here.
Where? Oof. It's gonna be one of the small, tiny little islands, isn't it? It's the... well, it's the most sensible one you can take, so...
My bannermen tread new soil, benevolent one.
A competitor raised a settlement.
So, can I... Immediately get a message that a control...
Knowledge of earth and heaven.
Battery is low, don't want your alliance, thank you very much.
It is unethical.
Should be all good. Oh, and the Alonso quest just took off. Thanks, princess! Probably, maybe it's an old, maybe it was an old quest. That I declined on purpose, and it's actually better that way. Now, I was going to let the balance do its thing for a little bit, but before I do that, let's have a quick check on all the goods they are using to get an idea if I'm set up sensibly enough to just start yapping on for a little bit. I need a minimal amount of champagne because of the one investor building I have. Yeah. That's basically it. And they don't have a bank. Which, well, whoops. That's the wrong radial. As painful as it is, I will have to get used to, to most of the controls again. Because truly a lot has happened since I last streamed Anno. It's been a whole week of Diablo. It's incredible that it's just been a week. It feels so much longer. But
What brings you here, master?
that's probably because I basically did some double time. Well, ignoring the 18 hours of, well, actual streaming on Friday, which, considering the ludicrous amount of interest the game has garnered for, well, I couldn't say no reason at all, but for what it is.
This island is under siege.
The sea.
Alonso doing the Alonso thing. Reminds me. So now he's attacking the island he has 2 shares in, just for fun, I guess. How's my worker pool doing? It's doing fine. ridiculous how small my island is compared to this one. The one Alonso took just next door. Yeah, I'm going to give the game a moment's time to just work its magic, as I continue yapping on about last week. I mean, I could. Oh, it is already in position. I could have a look at Eli meanwhile. If there's anybody... Very senior lecture. Now, if he were to offer me an actor, that would be incredible. But it's basically already too expensive to keep rolling at this point. Still, 9,000 as balance is also pretty good. Pigs instead of beef is a 100% increase. Is that more than just money?
Until you prove yourself innocent.
The withdrawal amendment, less happiness, but bonus residence. Stuff like that can actually work out quite nicely. It's just not a lot of residents. But if you're truly desperate for more people, that is a way to do it. Thing is, though, I need to add on to this lot rather than the other place.
Stand to attention for the boss.
They are not making their own. They're making their own steel, but not their own. Come on. Steel beams. That's... Game starts to glitch immediately, I guess.
We earned this.
Yeah, they are clamoring for bread. Oh, am I having rum issues still? How much of the... I wanted to talk about stuff, but instead I'm already... So, due to my controller spazzing out as there's this nice little bug with the keyboard interface of the PlayStation, where you sometimes the stick and the D-pad is active when you're trying to input which lot, or whilst you're trying to make your selections, which basically renders the whole thing inoperable. And suddenly riot. It's rioting time, boys. Oh. Police is on site. Where's the next closest police station? It's barely been a week and it feels like I forgot everything. What I was doing, where I was setting myself up. I know I need to reinforce a lot of my industry in more ways than just one, but please reset your selection, Eli. It would be greatly appreciated. Oh, pocket watches.
Cover your ears.
What's the deal with the watches? Do I have? Oh, it's the gold. Yeah, I'm missing. I don't have any gold at all. That's the deal with the watches. That's the deal with the watches. No. I'm gonna buy 100 of these. Now, that's the spectacles. That roof looked like it was on fire to me. Yeah, I'm hitting the start button to open the menu as you do in Diablo now. So I'm please bear with me, but in that regard, I'll readjust momentarily. So yeah, I bought like 5 watches from Archibald. That's all I did, isn't it? So let's start by having them make gold. It's gonna be expensive enough as is. That evens out coal, for better or for worse. Yeah, we just have a demand for watches, not a production for them.
Flagship ready for orders.
I have 5 watches. Or 10?
New orders?
Not sure how many I could afford at the time. But they
On our way.
carried me quite a long while. Could you please calm down, people?
A competitor's island withstood an attack.
Because Alonso only sent the one ship. It was 2 more hours of ceasefire. Feels like I'm in snail mode right now. Yeah, place that one down and try to ignore it for to the best of my ability. Now glass is gonna not be able to withstand the so, and the cannery is our biggest issue right now. So we have we have quite a long while. I wanted to say we have half an hour to either find an actor or double up our cannery setup, but that's just blatantly false. I have whatever that fraction is above 1 times times 30 minutes. So it's gonna be a whole lot longer, maybe 3 hours before I actually run out. I do have the additional artisanal kitchen ready to go. How many bell peppers am I producing? Just the 1 per minute. Still. Did I at least set up more? That's all hops. Yeah, basically. So, Now what I actually wanted to do aside from having peers and making money and buying people and you know all the stuff is I wanted to transport my bread. I have about 250 bread. How large is the storage on the other island? 150. So I can just send 150 over to the other island and it'll be fine. And this will slowly fill up again. So that's as I press the wrong button. Let's do that. Create route. Now I'm not gonna switch away from using charter routes for what little I'm going to do. In the save file at this point. As my eye starts twitching. It's been a fairly intense week, as I was trying to say. My barb's at what, level 57 now? Which comparatively isn't actually that high, considering I did pay for the early access. I made good time on Friday, streaming basically the whole day. Again, 18 hours. Oof. Which streaming-wise, was not as rewarding an experience as one might expect. But well, again, with the large crowd for Diablo 4, which at least around 1 a.m. Friday morning almost hit 1 million viewers, and it's averaging between 10 and 17,000 streamers each time. That is quite incredible for what it's worth. So let's get the clockmakers ticking, clocking. I don't know if Alonso cares about working conditions. I should have confirmed that before, giving him the go ahead to stop working. You can do the same.
I have generous allowance.
Yes, you do have generous allowances. How's glass? Glass does just about not cut it. It feels like I need another glass manufactory. That's the move tool. That's the thing I want. To get all the way. What do you mean? Oh, it cannot be encased, can it? That's the question. I can do this.
What kind of town don't have a warehouse?
Yeah, but that's too far. And this one. If only I could put it closer. So that is not an option. That's too bad. I can probably do this.
It's a surprise inspection.
Now, for some odd reason, that's much closer. This harbor area, something special. Just to dredge up sand. And I plonk down one more of these. So they should, yeah, they are getting supplied with pocket watches now. Gonna have at least 100 of them. As anything more would mean I need to actually set up gold.
Flagship awaiting instructions.
And setting up gold will be. Sounds like far too much work.
Boredom turns you onto the bags.
Like, hey Alonso, how's it going? Do you know where my bread route is? Oh, there it is. It's painfully slow. The blob. A neutral blobfish beauty. Remarkable. Yeah, I do want to pair.
An empire covers
God
both
damn it,
land
Archibald.
and-
You're gonna clog up my... Just a couple of windows. uh... Well, once they get bred... That'll be 3 more workers per house. And then they can start whining about the school, which they already have. Basically already have access to. Is that even well, is that even going to be enough? That's 60 people, 90 people. Well, that's not gonna be enough, is it? It's not actually gonna be enough. Who the funk it? Start the makings of the next big population crisis. Gonna get it. No complaining. Whoops. Now, something I wanted to mention fairly early on, and I already basically missed my mark on that one. I said it a couple of times in the past, but next week, or rather from tomorrow on, I'll be out of town. Well, I say tomorrow, it's Thursday as I'm streaming this, so the word going up on Friday. From Friday on, I'll be out of town for a week.
We make the best of what we have.
They do still... What is your... Why are you... They're ready to riot. Quickly check on general supply. But, oof. Loads of wiggle room still left. So I've been doing a little bit of double time basically last couple of days to get something set up for the time when I'm away. Now that's not gonna... Is the rum gone again? Yes, the rum's gone again. That's why we need actors. Now that will of course not have any bearings on the streams or Twitch. but I shall have something up on YouTube for every day from Friday to Friday.
Attention for the Admiral.
Now, if I were actually wisely planning ahead, I would have set up something more, because a bit more to have some leeway on the on the weekend afterwards. Because at least at this point in time, I don't think it'll be much of a relaxing weekend, and probably more filled with activity than anything else. But well, I guess I'll know eventually. Let's get these people moving in. Let's get... Now they can worry about the elementary school. Move even more people in, which shall afford us the opportunity to actually... Oh, sudden cat. To upgrade buildings over here. And if I'm upgrading anything, it's gonna be around this potential town hall. So that is the most likely place I can Where's my ship? It's not, no, it's nowhere near. Oh, well, it's not that bad. Not that bad, actually. Quickly checking, but no, Alonso does not have a quest for us in the New World either. Still a bit fearful of him turning on us. So let's...
No, I say.
Oh. The one time... the one time I want to flatter him and not prepare... I'm not prepared to save Scummit. He says no. That's bad. Well, too bad. It's not that bad. We'll live. Right now it's all about setting up. Oops. Yeah, I really should have considered the amount of iron I currently have. Which is the next shopping trip I'm going to make. But for now, let's get a cheeky 100 rum and some safety coffee. Getting meowed at. But why? What is the issue? Not sure if you can hear her.
Sails.
She's a little bit, oh, how would you say it? Not jumpy. Not excited either, something in between. had a really interesting day yesterday, as we found a mouse in the house. Talked about that on in my Diablo session as well. It's one of the features of living in a house on the, well, in the quote-unquote countryside. I don't like calling this area countryside, as we're one of the most densely populated regions in Germany, actually, outside of large cities. Oops, sorry. Thank you for your input. Something else you wanna share with the world? Ah, yes. Oh. Her unending love. So yeah, she's been all over the place yesterday. God, my ship's slow. But it's fighting against the wind. Which is curious, as she has shown no sign of the same amount of eagerness today. Compounded by the fact that I just earlier saw a mouse on the balcony. So, which poses naturally two questions. Is it the same mouse? And how the heck did it get out? Or rather, how the heck and how the heck did it get into the house in the first place? So, yeah, that's...
No strings.
Those are the considerations.
Coordinates plotted.
Deliberations you just wanna make. I mean, right? So, now in theory that would be a nice amount of engineers
At your service.
if I just upgraded all of them. Should not have bothered with the safety coffee. Oh, let's dump the safety coffee. The next best place I know. Oh yeah, and let's, if I can, take some beer. Oh yes, I can.
On our way.
To maybe... I won't be able to prevent any rioting, but maybe I can postpone it. Afterwards, I'm going to buy some more steel from Archie. Send that to the main island.
These underwear suits are too prickly. I find single.
Thanks, Archie. Too much information. That's no. Can reroll. A single actor and all this back and forth with the rum and the canned food stops immediately. 32. So if that isn't like, oh good god, we need to change that. We need the people. That is correct.
It's a different perspective. My first tip-off was a riot at a mill. I got the picket line.
The heart that is rotten, breath that smells.
Alonso's
Go
gonna
places.
complain.
I could twist your face.
Mm-hmm. Now that he's below 50, that's a bit of an issue, I believe. Because if he has any mind of attacking me, more likely now that he's below the 50 threshold. Now I do have 112 influence to spare. I can use in parts on defenses. But those defenses will be too late for in the new world. So, oh, he has a quest. Let's hope it's not a destruction quest.
Can you do this without complaining, big crap? On your head be it.
Disturbingly suspicious crate.
New orders?
This will further delay. Any reasonable acquisitions I can make. But I do want to get the steel still before anything else. I say and immediately check Eli again. I should just let him cycle through on his own.
Flagship awaiting instructions.
Don't say you don't trust old Beryl.
Well, Beryl.
On our way.
She wants to pay me for trade rights.
I've high quality for pottage.
That's nice. She's probably just buttering me up for an alliance. Which I'm going to decline naturally.
Flagship at your service.
Do I have any wine available? No. No, I don't. And all islands have been taken, so... Reminds me why I did not like this island setup. Jeez. Jays.
Look sharp, the governor's here.
They are making bread. Like it's going out of style.
Attention for the Admiral.
Noticeably sped up.
Steersman.
It's like at this point I'm going to make a clipper just so I have another ship. Send it to the prison. There is a point to not, or to wait until there's 300k in the bank, or even 400k. Because most actually useful epic visitors or specialists are 300,000 plus. So if there's an Elliot or somebody like that, I could afford him as well. Whilst I still only have the 8 slots for the the 8 people to choose from at any given time. They can basically, from the moment you first get to Eli, as far as I'm aware, he can just offer to you basically anybody. It's not going to be much use if you have a balance of like 50 and are barely scraping by having 14k in the bank. If he offers you an Elliot for 300,000 plus, but now I might be wrong on this, and this might be gated a little more, that you unlock the rarities as you go up. But I don't really think so. It really is just a matter of chance. Gonna get less purple people in the to choose from if there's only 4 people being sold all the time compared to 8 or 12. Can continue to force the issue a little bit.
Ship constructed.
Now, there is one issue with doing it like this. Why? I should have taken them out.
Route plotted.
Now, just to be perfectly clear, having already gotten to the achievement, I could use the clipper to actually set up a functioning worthwhile trade route at this point, compared to the charter routes.
A feast day.
Yes.
Flagship ready for orders.
Where does this go? Wow, that's all the way on the other side of the map. Ah, that's why there's the star. Yeah, must be. Charter routes in general are a strange little addition to the game. They're at a strange intersection where they're both expensive, more expensive and cheaper than what you actually can set up. Because the amounts of influence you pay and the fee are fairly expensive for what usability the ship actually provides. But there are times when having your own ship is more trouble than it's worth. An actor.
I
Come, be quick. Be quick. And just like that,
permission.
most of our rum troubles and
Unfurl the sail.
the canned meat has just been dealt with. Now the way I set this place up to have it all the way or focused on the top part of the side to get more out of the electricity I can provide. Hypothetically, if I could move this in further. The mine loses power immediately. Because that will be the main issue of these houses.
It's
It'll
certainly not the perfect formula.
It won't be as efficient. I'll need to build this. Well, both my ships are closing in on their destinations. But this will reduce the need for rum and canned food drastically. So, tinned fish. That's both canned goulash and fish.
Great rainbows made of bone. Good dog.
Woof.
Flagship awaiting instructions.
Ship under attack.
Sails!
You're quick enough.
Coordinates plotted.
It's hard staying in the blind spot.
Sails! On our way. Steersman!
Yeah, I did somewhat expect something like this. Not quite the
Sails!
ship I delivered to would attack me, but Actor. No. Yeah. So that's canned food is back below 1. And rum is down to 3 rum per minute. Which
Awaiting new horizons.
don't know, might be workable.
Take the rudder.
Not sure.
I'm not sure you'll be one to get your mitts dirty.
If you say so, Beryl. If you say so. None of these places will be able to get electricity. So I might just upgrade whatever, wherever. Move this a little. I need to find a place for my church, which is gonna be a little bit of an issue. Maybe I can't have it like this. Let's try to get rid of let's try to get rid of as many people who need a church close by as I can.
fulfilled.
Why though? New buildings have been unlocked. There's the bank. There's the bank. Alonso might actually be aiming to take that island, and Beryl doesn't seem to be doing anything about it much. So, with that, it is time to move the church and say goodbye. Yes. And once again, it perfectly fits. It perfectly fits. That is the biggest reason why I can only recommend building your church like that. I did it for the first time just because I found it looked nice. Because I wanted to make things beautiful. But instead I made a happy accident, stumbled upon an incredible little planning hack. So set up the repair crane, but never finished it. Sure, it's the same with the pier down here. Now I should.
Hide the bottle.
At this rate, oops, my mind's caught in a loop. I should at this rate build a steelworks so they can make their own steel beams on this island. Happens slowly, but at least this island now produces all of its own building materials and is entirely unreliant on my main island, which cannot be said for my main island as they produce the reinforced concrete for my main island. That being said, whoops, there's a lot of whoops today.
For a challenge.
A lot of whoops. A lot of yarning as well. Well, oof. Right now it's active during the night and barely conscious during the day. Now I could probably set up a vineyard on this island, in this little alcove here. Or maybe back here even. It probably would eat up all the space that's left in this area. And I would need some great grape seedlings. Or however you would call them. Now, what am I missing for the bank? Mainly windows. 50 windows. Let's say 40 bricks, 50 windows. What I need to take along. So 50. 50. And away. Like somewhere here's the island.
Coordinates plotted.
The repair crane radius is not large at all, is it? Could have been placed in a more accessible position. It's gonna heal all ships that are making deliveries, and that's about it.
Attention for the Admiral.
But I guess at this point, I can just send my ship back to prison. Almost at 300k. Now building the bank is expensive as well. Need to invest a casual 100k. All that work for the quest. Dashed by a tick on the RNG. Oh, where is that ship?
A new commission?
Do you still have gold? Barely. 35. 37. So I made about 90% of the gold I can make, and I made about 50% of the watches I can make.
Good and ready. Take the rudder.
So anybody
Watching your every move.
good? Raymond. Magnetist.
Just how is your conscience?
Instead of goulash, the building processes pigs. He would be good, but we don't actually need that anymore. In theory, though, he's a very good investment. If you have the actors, why bother with the canned food? Could, and in fact I will take a second one. I'll also buy another load of gold ore. And now, as I build the bank, money troubles will, or should, evaporate entirely. More importantly, we've made somebody happy. Beryl liked this.
No need for hyperbole, but thank you. Ah, the sound of cash registers and the smell of freshly printed money.
It's that relationship boost that gives the achievement. Now, I do believe Beryl is not the only one. I only ever don't think I got to the bank in my game with Margaret and Alonso. So but I do think Margaret also likes you building a bank. So she should also trigger the achievement and help.
A high standard of service.
Uh-huh.
This business has put me off my swing.
Oh yeah, it's the guy who wants
Steaming up to the plat, ready to show your class. Cruising home, ready to show your just what the
a whole
doctor
banquet.
I expect a high standard of this business has put me off my swing.
The pig fields. Very Matrix-like.
Ah, the very thing.
To meet our patron is utterly humbling.
It's like, is it now? Shouldn't there be a follow-up? Yeah, there he is.
This would be the cherry. See to this pronto.
Find the gang.
Dash, splendid old soldier.
Farm and worker residences. Residents with the pub need fulfilled are provided with bread, sausage, and fish. So he's gonna go on the worker island. Don't know why the game does that.
Ordnance plotted.
Did it again. What? Why? Oh, because I told it to move already. But where? Can you? Yes, you can build the town hall. They do now cost resources, unfortunately, or not resources, influence, unfortunately. But well, in the grand scheme of things,
Flagship at your service.
whilst we still have 122, it is a fairly small price to pay. So you come along.
Steersman.
Meanwhile, let's get those people of voluntary firemen.
Fresh roses slither from this manure.
Quick, march.
Still beating hard. Needs more iron. Yeah. Let's have a look around whilst I wait on that. Another actor. Which is now too many actors. And Dario. I love me myself a myself a Dario.
You can't make better what's already gold. I know you're busy, but I've a favour to ask.
The wild animals. Dormice! Find and collect the wild animals. That's a cow. Pick up quest.
I wish I'd a goose for your kindness.
A shepherd.
Aye, aye. Sails.
Pick that heart up. Meanwhile, bread, sausages, and fish. How much do they require? Not a lot, really. No, I do need to. So let's do this. And now should require even less. Less than zero. Less than zero. Wow. Amount of sausages they want is basically non-existent at this point. Same goes for fish.
It's all right here, I suppose.
They are dangerously far away from a marketplace. So let's give them a marketplace, because I don't really see. Oh, well, I said they were entirely unreliant, but well, they cannot make bricks. So yeah, I did not take that into account. But Archie's just next door, so
Stay good. Leave the evil to me.
Flagship awaiting instructions.
He does just like sending me around because he drove the horde to my island so I can drive it or sail it. Sorry, sail it all the way back to his island. Just like, yeah.
What were you told? Oh, take your time. I've got your back.
Come on, please game. 52 coins for the bank.
Platform.
131 coins for the bank. So the bank... As soon as you... I talked about this at length in my normal playthrough, but... Now I usually aim just for a positive balance in general, and I don't really care as much about my overall money per se as compared to the balance. I'm much more focused on getting the balance going, which is one of the reasons why I don't usually go too hard into making just a single product and selling that off, as you could very easily do with soap. That is the big go-to. Just make loads of soap and sell it to Eli. You can make good amounts of money with that. But again, as I've mentioned before, I never placed more than one soap factory on any of my islands in this playthrough. That's the one down here. And then there's one on my second island as well. And I could have just not placed the second one and would have been fine. And I probably wouldn't have had I had access to trade routes and not charter routes. I would have just transported soap from here to the other island. So it's pretty evident that I don't really sell a lot of stuff. Can also, I believe watches are a good sell to Archibald, and gramophones. If you have the Mbiza DLC, gramophones sell for big money with the king. And if you have the high-rise DLC, you can make loads of cash by selling elevators as well, as they are. Going by the Dockland and its calculations for general trade, the elevators you need to build the skyscrapers are the most complex product route, or whatever it's called. Because they trade in for the most, even more so than cars, even more so than gramophones and heavy weapons. Heavy weapons and cars are usually a very nice trade-in at the Docklands, at your Docklands pier with the captain. But the elevators are worth more in the end. Wouldn't say they dwarf what you get for cars,
Is
but
this for me? You're still excrement.
and you're still a bitch.
Flagship at your service.
But you're back above 50 now, so
Brother.
51. Woo, just barely. Could try to flatter him again. Of course, flattering him 5 times and getting rejected once is a fairly good quota. He does like being flattered, evidently. So yeah, where was I? Balance. Got tangent. Went on a tangent about elevator production. A lot of AMs today. Gonna quickly employ the second actor, which will reduce our need for rum and canned food further. Oh yes, that's nice. Not even half a canned food per minute. 2 rum per minute. Seems good. Seems workable. But yeah, depending on what state in the game you are, and how much patience you exert while playing the game. I mean, I rushed. Well, for my personal playstyle, I feel like I rushed a lot for getting up to the higher tier of residents to be done with this map, and I will be 100% clear about this at this point. I am done. Gonna talk about this a little bit, and then that's gonna be that for poor old Ulysseus, who doesn't know how to run his own shipping routes and employs a captain for all of that. Whatever this the randomizer threw together in this seed, get it away. I hate these islands. All starting islands are small or medium, to be fair, and the auxiliary items are large. I'll have the concrete and all that stuff. No good. No good at all. New World is fine. Won't harp too much about New World. But yeah. Getting any form of positive balance is good. Usually it is the... Can only stress ever so often. The first big money maker is beer. The second big money maker is rum. And the third big money maker can be watches, but realistically it's the bank. There is a fourth big money maker in jewelry, but at that point you don't need another big money maker. Beer of all is the most important one, because whilst looking at the plus 13 coins per house from happy workers it's a good increase, and building any of building any of the worker buildings themselves usually tend to at the point where you get them, they tend to equalize their own maintenance cost with their revenue. So usually you're not gonna notice much of an improvement aside from beer, but it should stay even overall. Once you add more houses to your settlement, then you'll start to notice. Now, keeping beer in mind, but moving on to the next big money maker, rum, it's 19 coins per house. More of a noticeable increase. However, what should not be or cannot be understated, if you upgrade to artisans, your biggest money maker is still beer at 39 coins per house. So getting a stable beer income or a stable beer flow is much more important than getting rum. Rum only really largely impacts your financial situation if you're very close to the good old plus minus zero, to just about breaking even, or once you have your first engineers.
You more than passed the test.
As engineers are 52 coins per house for rum, and they don't drink any beer anymore. That is the point where rum eclipses beer. But until then, and until the engineers are a large enough number to eclipse your beer income as a whole, beer will be your largest money maker.
That's how we've always done it, farmers like to say.
That's fairly sensible comment from her. Now, I will also say, the moment you have to add another part to your beer production line, doubling up, which will happen and it will become obsolete, that part's painful, at least in my opinion, because you, for the first line of additions, there's always the fact that I just described, or earlier described, about the new stream of revenue equalizing the drop through the maintenance for the building cost. You won't get that whilst you're doubling your production lines. You will only feel the hit in the balance. Thanks, Annie. Shut up. So what I usually do, and also did here, I try to get away with 3. I planned the 4th one because I like stuff being pretty in that regard. But I usually only add the 4th beer if I really have to. Now, on a larger island, I probably would have a larger settlement. I would have taken my time with making, or I would have taken longer at the very least. At this point, I probably would have a farmer island. Not so much a worker island, but a farmer island, definitely. I would have tried to get away with... Well, I probably wouldn't have been able to get away with not placing the 4th beer. Depending on what you're planning to do in regards to other islands or how well you are set up hops-wise, you can either scale down your beer production afterwards. It's always up for your own consideration. Or you could use the beer production you have established on your island to either feed another island beer or to send it to the New World. Both feel sensible to me. If you're going for something large like I did with Bright Sands or the Green Pastures in the other save file, where I basically just supply those islands from Ditchwater with all the common goods that they need until they don't need them anymore, then you can just leave it as is, and eventually you won't be needing to supply beer to anywhere anymore aside from the New World, if you're even that keen on supporting the operados. All that just in regards to beer and bread. Usually I end up with 4 4 bakeries and 4 breweries, sometimes 3 breweries, depending on the size of my population. Now rum, again, rum is a large money maker for the engineers and for the artisans. It's very easy to produce, and it's very easy to send from the new world to the old one. So usually you should not have any issues with rum, unless for maybe pirate attacks or something like the charter routes, where 80 rum per shipment doesn't actually cover the amount of rum they need in 20 or 22 minutes. However long this actually takes a charter route. If you're using normal trade routes, using clippers or your steam freight ships, then rum should be fine. Take any of your New World islands that have sugarcane fertility or even just sugarcane saplings, and build 2, 3, maybe 4 rum distilleries, and you should be set for quite a while. You should keep in mind, rum is one of those resources your populace will start huffing by the hundreds if you let them. Rum is usually the first resource that gets ridiculous, which is why I say that the first resource that usually gets ridiculous is schnapps, which is why I like the intoxicator, which isn't actually in the game, but that's that. For me, rum usually is the first resource that actually gets, or the first line of production that actually gets ridiculous. They will inhale rum without a doubt. But that is the reason why I switched to... Well, I could say why I naturally arrived at the conclusion that actors in town halls is worthwhile for the time where you need them. Now I did a whole spiel on why I use what specialists for my town hall in my large save file, and I talk about all of the specialists that I usually fall back onto at length in that VOD, in that video, but just for simplicity's sake, the actor is one of those resource replacements that I basically always come back to. Because aside from the fact that you can just, or you don't need to rely as much on your rum imports, being able to more or less skip out on canneries after a certain point is also worth a lot. Canneries, to me, feel like one of the worst production lines in the game. They are, when you first get them, it is expensive, it is slow, and it uses it uses a fertility that isn't usually on your first island. It can be, I think, in the third slot, but I've personally never seen it. I had hops a couple of times, which I was very happy about, but in the end, usually I get either furs or wine, and I do prefer wine at this point. even if it is probably the least space efficient one to get. Which is saying a lot, considering hops and bell peppers aren't that great either. And the cannery uses iron ore, which is also a resource I need for other lines of work. I've talked so long, might as well build that hospital now. Yeah, it's expensive, it's slow, it takes a lot of workers, and even if you double up, it doesn't really get faster. In addition to that, both the bell peppers and the beef can be have a fairly large footprint. So it's just, all in all, the less of that particular what's your issue? Oh, that's bad. Yeah, you need more loading ramps. You do need more loading ramps. Shouldn't have built a hospital, should have built loading ramps. Again with the and arms. Clearly not used to speaking for a long time, or public speaking, especially at last time. Feeling this tired and worn out. All in all, even if you double up on canned food, it doesn't actually get that much faster. A minute 30 is a strange timing setup as well, so yeah, it's iffy and it's awkward, and therefore I try to steer clear of that as good as I can. Getting the guy for a trade union that replaces the goulash input with pigs makes it a lot more manageable, I will say. As the cannery will also start producing sausages at that point. And that is the moment when you can consider going for the cannery again. They can also be improved by electricity, but still they do need the iron. However, I do believe there is another specialist who ultimately makes the cannery also produce tortillas, which is a nice little bonus for an island that has a World's Fair, which your main island should eventually, most likely always have. So there is something to be said about that one. But in general, still, that guy is legendary as well. And there's so many legendary visitors you'd rather have than that one. Then there's pocket watches at 47 coins per watch for the engineers. Penny farthings, in theory, as a luxury good, more for the happiness. The amount of money it makes again breaks even with the manufactory when you place it the first time, which is nice.
Boots too big for you.
But it'll become more noticeable with the 92 coins from the investors. It's more money than most goods provide earlier, but of course, everything's more expensive as well. So I wouldn't really count those into the mix, especially due to the fact that penny farthings are, at least still in my opinion, the worst or the most taxing production line that I can think of. It's the one I usually go overboard on, or overboard with.
Withstood an attack.
If you're playing with the Docklands, I said a couple of times already, I usually supply islands with a large setup of penny farthings with a Dario, and I'm not sure what else I used as power-ups or specialists in that regard on my PC file. But you can supply a whole island of a whole large-sized island of scholars with all goods they need, with 1.5 setups of penny farthings, which will produce around 150 penny farthings per minute, I believe, or something like that. As you can get a lot of nice goods on the side. Dario will provide gramophones and watches. There's also one that provides steam engines and heavy weapons. So there's a lot you can do trading wise with penny farthings. On the other hand, penny farthings are one of if not the production line that I personally always end up needing, because I don't know what they do with these bicycles. They just crash them by the hundreds a minute. If you'd remove the paper, penny farthings would be my second worst, or the second most needed production line, which is surely one of the reasons, aside from the ungodly amount of caoutchouc you would need. This is probably one of the reasons why people who don't try to fully supply all goods to their people usually entirely skip out on penny farthings. It's not a money good, it's a happiness good ultimately, and it's a lot. But back to the money. Pocket watches. Pocket watches, a sizable increase to the 30-ish, from 33 coins per minute from the last one from ROM, and the tier lower. Oh no, not just 19. Just 19. Goodness. But pocket watches, of course. Pocket watches, much like soap, you probably want to sell pocket watches. So they are Moneymaker 2.5. I don't think I didn't mention them in the first round. The actual Moneymaker with engineers and investors is the bank. 52 for the bank. Just the same as ROM, with the major advantage, the bank doesn't go away. Once you have a bank, its supply is infinite, and the bank,
A competitor's island is under siege.
of course, having a large and very unwieldy footprint. Once it's placed, the radius, or its influence area, is large. Can of course be buffed further by having stone roads everywhere, which at that point you probably should have. But again, unlike ROM, bank don't quit. ROM might quit on you, bank doesn't. So, but usually when you build a bank, you should have a balance that is basically untouchable at this point. Nothing can. There shouldn't be anything. Immediately went for the safe way. There shouldn't be anything that should be able to financially ruin us at this point. Now that I have a bank and 16 1.5k almost in income each minute. Right now it's more about the millions and not about the the small fries. Pocket watches return with an honorable mention for the investors, as they are 118 coins per house, which is a large increase, and the bank itself is 131. Investors, of course, as the name blatantly gives away, they are for the money, they are for the influence.
Third house needs work. Wrought iron.
Of course they will be giving loads of cash. And jewelry is around 170-ish, I believe. So jewelry is in theory yet another money maker. But jewelry suffers from the same issue that also plagues pocket watches, and that is the fact that they need gold.
Flagship ready for orders.
Who would have thunk
There is
it?
breathing space between projects.
Gold is downright terrible as a production line in the base game. Gold mines are horrible. I'm pretty sure you cannot, if you were to just build up all the largest islands of investors, I don't think
Builds a device to compute.
ahead of its time. I don't think the game actually supplies in the base game only. I don't think the game actually supplies enough gold mines to facilitate a large population of investors. Of course, Von Malching's brother does circumvent
Island is under siege.
that a bit by basically turning any mine into a gold mine. But he turns any mine into an oil field as well. So you can get a lot of raw material out of Jörg von Malching's effect, but again, legendary visitor, legendary specialist for the trade union. Can't really rely on getting that one. Can't really rely on getting that one, I would say. Now, something I should not neglect whilst I'm still talking about money, trying to make this educational as much as I can. Now, I say I I try to focus on the balance, and I don't really care about the money. But as I also did in this playthrough ever so often, of course, playing like this, you will almost run out of money, or you will find yourself in a position where you're forced to wait a very long time, even with fast forward. And then that only works out if you have enough goods or a stable enough production line, which can also be quite dicey at some points. So, and if you're like me and don't want to build copious amounts of soap, the next best thing I can recommend, and well, I usually do it like this, is just build ships and sell them to Archibald. Frigates for a quick 10k it was, I believe, and ships of the line for 25k are the main reason why I do think it's a good idea to have enough workers on the island to actually man the sailing shipyard, and to both have gonna look up how they are called.
We can't shut the storeroom door.
A sailmaker.
People celebrate your leadership.
and a weapon factory. I don't usually place these two on high priority whilst building up my island. I place them when I can and when I have the workforce for them. They will usually work to capacity and then they'll stop because as the rest of the resources, or as storage is full, which reaches a point where I usually don't actually factor them into planning around the amount of resource production I need. So, but that's something I can usually do as I go so hard into overproduction. If there's 200 wool lying around and 250 wool lying around because everything's full, and then I spend 30 sales, it won't matter because the wool will fill up just as quickly as it can. Having a full storage is good. It's not necessary. You can try to have a perfect amount of consumption and production, but the game does not lend itself very well to that, I would say. So it's in that regard, it's also always better to have a second trade ship and not go for the real life way of doing things, where you send one type of good in a ship to one island and take a different type of good back in the same slot. It can work, but you'll end up throwing a lot of stuff away to make it work in the end. And having two separate ships that just fill up and ferry stuff back and forth once the destination is full is ultimately not more efficient, but easier. It's easier. It's action efficiency. If you have the peer count to facilitate that.
A competitor's island.
There's always an asterisk to these things. There's always something you need to take into account when making these decisions. But in general, I would recommend having just ships doing basically one-way trips, being laid out to do one-way trips and return empty to the other harbor if need be. Also, again, the pier thing, you can usually tell quite easily when it's time for your island to add a pier. It's usually when the ships are starting to form a line, a concave in your harbor. Sometimes it's because the NPCs also regularly come by, even if they don't actually trade anything. They're making their rounds.
A bold new expedition.
Been circled twice by a cat just now. What's the deal with the circling? Just attention? No? Doesn't really want attention. Wanted to say hi, and now she's leaving again, I guess. Yep. Leaving again. Expedition.
Ceasefire has ended.
Did I actually just discard that one?
It's sextant time.
Ah, it's a pirate hunt. Why would I want to go on a 3-star pirate hunt? Been neglecting expeditions again as well. But it's hard to it feels hard to find the ideal moment when to start going on expeditions, because especially if you're building up a zoo fairly early, it's sensible to do a lot of zoological expeditions, 1 and 2 star. I highly doubt there is a reasonable chance to get a 3-star zoo expedition done without a battle cruiser or a Great Eastern. Could maybe do it with a steamship, but I don't think a clipper will fare all too well. I usually on the PC I usually had a ship of the line kitted out with all items it could carry. That did most of my expeditions. You're almost bound to get a harvest festival until you can build ships of the line. So you're likely going to have some chocolate or champagne in your hold that's just waiting for the investors down the line 20 hours later or 10 hours later. So you can always use that as provisions, as they will supply the ship with a large starting morale boost. And therefore you can always consider those to, or you can consider the idea, the concept of using that to start off your first couple of expeditions. But more often than not you'll end up with the with loads of expeditions whilst you're setting up your investor islands in the end game. It is a little bit different still if you're playing on PC with all DLCs and you're trying to set up a palace, as having that
A ship was destroyed.
oh no, because the ceasefire has ended, right? Yeah. Annie immediately up for her shenanigans. Come on.
You'll have to vie for it. Call that a storm.
13k. Now if that was the rum ship, that could actually spell slight issues, but well, 17k. Now I don't know. Is there a festival going on? Don't know why it jumped up and yeah, there's a festival going on. Didn't catch that. Makes a large difference if you're whether or not to go on expeditions or not is very much dependent on if you need the additional attractiveness. If you can, and if you're fairly certain you can actually manage doing 3-star rescue missions, which is something I personally neglected for the longest time, seem quite worthwhile, unless your crew decides to rescue 6 torpedoes and a trumpet instead of an actual person. Now, maybe some of the pirates they met along the way were just a torpedo and a trench coat, but I highly doubt it that at least that particular pirate survived their encounter. In the base game standalone version that the console edition provides, I would suggest if you have the capabilities of doing any expedition and successfully returning with the loot, go for the 3-star rescue missions first all the time. 3-star zoological seems like a good choice as a second priority if you're currently setting up a zoo, as I do believe, and I might be wrong on this, because I haven't checked the particular set bonuses from the zoo in a long time, and that is one of the sets I have not yet completed in the other save file. So I do believe to recall that the snowflake set, the albinos, are the most powerful set bonus wise. It might just be something like all cultural sets give an additional amount of X% culture,
Competitor's island is under siege.
or something like that. It is more or less what I would expect. But I do recall getting that set as my final set in my large PC game file, and thinking to myself, I needed that ages ago. That's the extent of what I remember. So that's not a good basis, good thing to base this on, is it? But the archaeological sets, in any case, you can just build your entire museum from archaeological exhibitions in the World's Fair. So archaeological expeditions are just a bonus. And if you are currently hunting for a certain again the ums and uhs, if you're hunting for something, especially for a certain item you really want to get, you will want to check the regions where the expeditions are. As you can see, they are on this overworld map. You can tell where the expeditions are located. Temperate forest, winter forest, polar, and these do make a difference to what you can get. They influence the loot pool. So at that point you might want to take that into account. Now, if you're trying to set up a palace and get a reasonable amount of attractiveness, it's probably always a good idea to send your ship out on a 2-star expedition. Zoo or archaeological doesn't really matter, as the bonus doesn't really matter. You just want the hard numbers. Same goes for if you're trying to get to that 7.6k breaking point for the specialists, which I believe marks the last increase in percentage chance of getting better specialists more often as visitors from your peer. But all of that, of course, changes the moment you have scholars. If you have Nbesa as a DLC, and if you have scholars unlocked, it basically all revolves around those people at that point. As the of course, if you're able to send your ship on a 3-star expedition, a zoological expedition for instance, and you return with 3 whales, each worth 40 attractiveness, that's more than you building or taking 10 minutes or 30 minutes even to build a singular plus 50 attractiveness item or a single specialist. But if you have the max amount of workers, I believe it's 10 minutes at that point, and you can just really use your scholars to build whatever, then you will wanna then you basically don't have to bother with expeditions at all anymore. There's nothing you can gain from those that you cannot just make. And if your scholar population is so large at that point, you should be making more than enough research points to just start producing without stopping. Yeah. Expeditions, yay or nay? Who knows?
A competitor's island withstood an attack.
Well, that's at least that's the amount my insights that I gathered over the years. If that is actually helpful to you, then I'm glad. Take it with a grain of salt. It is very much an opinion piece, all of this. Now the money thing is more, it's easier to sorry, got distracted. It's easier to prove by numbers. Yep. So yeah. $1 million. And that's probably where I should leave this save file and trundle along. Now I had originally intended to switch over to my larger save at this point, but all things considered, I do want this save file to be its own thing, have it as its own playlist, so I would have stopped the stream and put it up again anyway. But at this point I might just call it. Sorry about that. But I'm feeling real tired. Might as well go to bed at 4 in the afternoon at this rate. It's been a fairly intense week of Diablo 4. Streamed most of it, not all of it, but most of it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people did not see, but well, that is the way how the cookie crumbles. And again, the numbers for D4 were ridiculous. Starting off at almost 1 million viewers and averaging at 500k and 17,000 channels streaming the game on average. So, yikes. What are you to do with, well, these low viewer numbers? But, well, enough of my whining. The game is fun. I enjoyed playing the game very much. It's very dark, so it isn't for everyone. It is truly a grim, dark tale. Somehow, everything only gets worse if we try to help out at any point. To a degree where you start wondering, how are there even any people alive in Sanctuary at this point? But, yeah. As I am calling it right now. Once more, to get this out there as often as I can, I will be away come tomorrow, Friday, the 9th, and I will be gone for a week to Friday, 16th. Now, I won't be doing anything on either of the Fridays, so...
Censorship is not always the cranny of the corrupt.
My impression of you is unfavorable.
Your
Alonso?
tiny mind.
Gained an influence bonus.
It's the one thing that makes Alonso somewhat dangerous for us, I would say. Yeah, that's a pause. That's a pause that works for me. I have tried to set something up for the days in between. I hope at least someone will watch it and enjoy it, because I very much enjoyed preparing it. I have not done any recording beforehand, so please be kind. Please bear with me. Figuring stuff out one step at a time. Reaching new frontiers as I can. As I am able. So... Getting side-eye from the cat. So yeah, and I will be returning my regularly scheduled programming on Saturday or Sunday next week, so the 17th or 18th, depending on how tired I am after I get back home. I will also endeavor to put up an actual schedule for when I want to do something at what time on Twitch. And I'll try my best, my darndest, to adhere to that schedule once I have it. There's always a time for exceptions, but just some plans I do have. That all being said, thank you very much for watching. Very much for checking out my channel, be it on Twitch or YouTube, depending on where you watch this. Thank you to all the people who followed and or subscribed on either of the platforms. I do hope you'll have a pleasant weekend and a pleasant week. Maybe enjoy some Diablo. Probably, chances are, at least somebody who watches this probably has. So, with that, it's my time to leave. See you around. Bye byes.